Good afternoon and welcome to Lariat TV News Today. I'm Nate Smith.
And I'm Sarah Gill. Thanks for joining us today. Electronic cigarette devices are killing more and more people each day, with hundreds suffering from a mysterious lung disease caused from vaping. LTVN's Igor Stepchinsky had an exclusive interview with a Baylor addiction researcher and a CEO of a vapor company.
Where there is smoke, there is a fire. But with the recent death of 12 Americans and 805 injuries, the same could be said about vapor.
It's tragic. It's really awful, and it's scary.
So sales are down 6 to 25%, depending on the location. We have 27 locations in Texas, Louisiana, and Tennessee.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention analyzed 375 of the lung disease cases. 67% are 18 to 34-year-olds, and 16% were under the age of 18. The common denominator, a history of vaping.
A big problem with vaping and e-cigs is that there's hardly any regulation at all. They're finding things that are dangerous, like this vitamin E oil and these metal particles that come from the device that heats up. Bad stuff for us to be inhaling.
The increase in underage vaping influenced the state of Michigan to place a temporary 6-month ban on flavored vaping devices. After the Trump administration announced plans to follow suit, the CEO of Juul, a top electronic cigarette device company, resigned.
The problem with teenagers using a Juul is it's a 50% nicotine, which is one pod, the equivalent of 200 cigarettes. Nobody needs that.
The CDC says most of the sick patients it tested reported a history of using e-cig products containing THC, the main compound in marijuana that produces a high. The illness resembles a rare form of pneumonia, but the source hasn't been specifically identified.
We don't know. That's the danger, is we don't know what's in these products. You know, my guess is the people who died had no idea what they were really smoking. Know what you're putting in your body before you even start. If you can't breathe, nothing else matters.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Igor Stepchinsky.
Baylor's Texas Hunger Initiative is getting a $2.6 million grant from the Walmart Foundation to help feed the hungry across Texas. THI has a network of hunger-free initiatives in 7 markets across Texas, a state that has more than 4 million people who are food insecure, many of them children. The initiative supports research to assess local hunger, evaluate barriers to food security, and develop community-driven solutions to hunger and poverty. Since 2012, Walmart has awarded nearly $10 million to support Baylor's efforts to increase access to healthy food.
National Voter Registration Day was celebrated on Tuesday, and even if you're an out-of-state student, you can still register and vote in McLennan County. Baylor's NAACP and Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority partnered to host a drive where 30 students registered to vote. I was there and heard how students feel about the importance of voting. Various organizations on campus are celebrating National Voter Registration Day, hosting voter registration drives throughout campus and encouraging students to sign up to vote.
College students should go out and vote. A lot of people turn 18 and you think about all the privileges you have as a young adult, and that's a lot of the demographics of people who aren't voting. And so it's good to get into the habit of doing that and expressing your opinion and making sure that you're living in a world that you want to see and want to be in.
Baylor students expressed their opinion on why it's important to vote.
It's going to be our country soon, and so if we don't start voting now and we don't start learning how to do it at this age, when we go out into the world, there's going to be no one to help us.
I think it's important that you have a voice, so you can put your input in things. It's a great way to just really reflect your beliefs.
I think it's important because every vote matters.
The NAACP and AKA partnered to host a voter registration drive. Kennedy Kennard spoke on behalf of AKA to share her stance on voting.
Please vote, please. There's a lot of things going on right now, and it is imperative for college students to voice their opinions and vote in order to get the change that they desire. 30 people registered to vote at this event. But how easy is it?
It was easier than I thought, and it was the first time I registered to vote.
It's just writing, filling out a form and then just handing it in. It's so important to vote. You need to do it. It's important. It's your civic duty.
National Voter Registration Day may have come to an end, but you can find out how to register to vote on any day at vote.gov. For Lariat TV News, I'm Sarah Gill.
Dr. Michael Scullin, Assistant Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience at Baylor, has spent many years researching sleep and the effects it has on the human body. He's received numerous awards for his research, and LTVN's Grace Smith talked to Dr. Skolin and learned about some of the advice he has for college students.
Sleep feels good.
Well, you heard it from Dr. Skolin, who has been researching sleep for years, especially when it comes to sleep impacting health, education, and memory. Sleep is indeed good and therefore very much needed.
We're tricking ourselves in college into thinking that we don't need sleep or that sleep isn't doing something good for us. Man, just try. Just try to get more sleep. And that means giving yourself more hours in bed with the lights out, turning off those electronics, leaving that phone in the other room, and then practicing good sleep hygiene. So paying attention to what you eat at night, avoiding caffeine in the evening, getting some good exercise, but not too late at night.
I definitely perform better whenever I have a good night's sleep as opposed to getting 4 or 5 hours, typically whenever trying to cram for a test or just staying up too late.
On average, I try to shoot for 7-8 hours a night, but in terms of tests, I usually get 4 hours of sleep.
Fewer than 10% of undergraduates maintain the recommended average of 8 hours of sleep. Dr. Skolin says that the main thing students lose when they don't get these very important 8 hours is everything.
Physical health declines. You're 5 times more likely to catch a cold if you're sleeping 5 hours a night than if you're sleeping 8 hours a night. Your mental health also declines.
And the research doesn't stop for Dr. Skolin, as he is currently in the midst of researching freshman students, trying to connect the dots between sleep, their brain activity, and creativity.
During 1 week, they're going to get to sleep really well. They're going to get 8 hours each night, and then we're going to stick them in an fMRI and look at how their brain tries to solve creative problems. And then in another week, they're going to do the same thing, except they're only going to be getting 5 hours of sleep each night.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Grace Smith.
Baylor University Libraries, the School of Music, and Truett Seminary joined forces to dedicate and bless Baylor's Heritage Edition of the St. John's Bible. One of nearly 300 copies, this edition is designed in the medieval style but written for the 21st century. Baylor acquired their copy of the rare book in June of 2019. This edition carries an estimated value of $165,000. It is printed on vellum, a paper made from animal skins. Kathy Hillman, director of Baylor's Baptist Collections, hopes that this will make the Bible more engaging for students. The dedication service begins at 3:30 p.m. at Paul Powell Chapel on Friday, and this edition will be available for students to view in Moody Library.
Tuesday through Thursday of this week, Baylor Nation had a chance to take a glimpse into the lives of children living in developing countries. Through sponsors, these children were able to escape their lives of poverty and enter a new life of hope and love. LTVN's Grace Smith went to the Compassion Experience hosted by the Truett Seminary and found out what this project is all about.
This isn't just an ordinary tent located at the Truett Seminary parking lot. Stepping inside this 2,000 square foot exhibit, the Compassion Experience brings to life the stories of children who live in developing countries by realistically replicating their homes, marketplaces, and schools. It is a touching experience driven by hope.
We strive to get kids sponsored across the world, so we want to release them from poverty in Jesus' name. So what we do just to spread awareness is we put on events like this. We set up this big tent where people could walk through and really get the feeling of what these kids live through and what their lives are like. And then the goal is to have someone come and pick a child and have that one-on-one relationship, not only meeting those basic needs, but also letting them know that they're worth it, that there's hope.
Without even leaving Baylor's campus, these visitors feel as if they have traveled across the world, witnessing the lives of those children having gone from poverty to hope, all because of a sponsor. For Lariat TV News, I'm Grace Smith.
Coming up, we have an exclusive interview with a man we are all familiar with, Tom at Baylor. But do you know who he really is?
We also have a story about well-known singer Jake Scott and how he came all the way to Baylor not only for a concert, but for a proposal as well. All this and more right after the break.
The best and brightest are drawn to Baylor, where those from many backgrounds with many talents shine together before casting their light outward to illuminate the world. Through transformational learning opportunities that are grounded in Christian faith and service, and research that impacts lives and communities. Baylor University, a place where lights shine bright.
The Tom at Baylor Instagram account has rocketed to local stardom with posts that highlight what makes Baylor unique. For the first time, Tom agreed to sit down for an on-camera interview, and LTVN's Drake Toll has the story.
There's a man veiled in mystery who walks Baylor's campus. Many know him, but few would recognize him. Who is Tom at Baylor?
Well, I know he's a man. I don't know, maybe like early 30s, white. For some reason, I picture him with a scruffy beard.
And while he does have a scruffy beard, he's best known for his Instagram account, Tom at Baylor, that has nearly 4,500 followers. So, would you be intrigued to see the man behind the screen?
I'm kind of curious as to what he looks like, considering I got the scruffy beard part right.
You're in luck. For the first time ever, the Invisible Man sat down for an exclusive interview with LTVN.
Hi, I'm Tom Bernard, and I go by Tom at Baylor.
And while his Instagram account grows,
I was at 1,000 and 2,000 and 3,000, and now I get stopped on the sidewalk and people are like, hey, Tom.
Tom's life behind the 4,000 followers is standard.
My life's pretty simple. My wife and I live a very quiet life and love participating in Baylor events as much as we can.
And his passion for Baylor is obvious.
I'm kind of an average guy who tries to work hard, but I think I've differentiated myself a little through this account with my passion for this institution.
Tom Bernard won't hesitate when it comes to what makes Baylor special.
You see it. Every student I interact with, every parent I interact with, people are really, really nice here. And so, you know, I shoot a lot of pictures of beautiful buildings and landscapes around here, but the thing that makes Baylor different is people, hands down.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Drake Toll.
A twist has been added to one of Baylor's oldest traditions, and it includes Baylor's mascots, Lady and Joy. I was there to learn how this tradition will affect this year's seniors. Class rings are something that generations of Baylor students and alumni have held close to their hearts.
A lot of my family members pitched in and helped me afford the remaining cost for the ring, and so it ended up being a symbolism of basically all of the family members who have sacrificed things and like helped raise me, and something that I can remember everyone who had a part in getting me this far.
Even those who don't currently have a ring can see the significance that it holds.
I want to get a class ring to remind myself of all the good memories I made at Baylor and of all the hard work I put in to graduate from this university.
Although Baylor rings are nothing new, a new twist has been added to this beloved tradition.
We partner with Baylor Chamber of Commerce, and they put on a wonderful event for us. And they come over and load the rings into the bear trailer and take them over to the bear habitat. They decorated the habitat. We had Heritage Creamery ice cream for the students, and we emailed all the students whose rings would be in the ring box, and we had a great party.
If you want to get in on the ground floor with this unique tradition, stop by the sub during Ring Week for more information. For Lariat TV News, I'm Nate Smith.
Hispanic Heritage Month kicked off with a parade through downtown Waco, and the festivities will continue on Baylor's campus for the next couple of weeks. On Wednesday, there was a listening session that invited students to share their experiences and to discuss issues affecting the Hispanic community at Baylor. Many students voiced discontent and brainstormed ways to make Baylor more inclusive. Friday afternoon, you can head to the Sub Cub for a mixer with faculty, staff, and students. Next Friday, October 4th, there will be a banquet highlighting Hispanic heritage and culture. The celebrations of Hispanic Heritage Month will continue through October 15th. For a full schedule of events, visit Baylor's Department of Multicultural Events website.
Shoulders back, hips forward, chins up, and smiles on. Baylor's Kappa Kappa Gamma Sisterhood hosted a beauty pageant called Baylor Beauties in the Student Union Building. 32 women were nominated to partake in the 69th annual charity event, with 8 contestants from each grade classification in hopes of being named a Baylor Beauty. Proceeds from the ticket sales went to the philanthropy Reading is Fundamental, which is Kappa's partnered charity. The contestants prepared for a casual walk, formal walk, and interview questions. At the end of the night, a total of 19 contestants were named Baylor Beauties in front of a packed audience of their peers.
Ring by spring is a popular trend here at Baylor, and engagements are not uncommon in the campus community. One Baylor grad took his proposal to a whole new level with a private concert. I talked to the newly engaged couple and got the inside scoop on what made this proposal so special. Common Grounds had a packed house with more than 500 people, but the night before, Jake Scott played for a much smaller crowd. In fact, only 2.
A guy messaged me on Instagram and asked me if I would come play during his proposal.
Swingler knew his girlfriend was a huge fan of Jake Scott, so he was determined to get the singer-songwriter to perform at his proposal.
He got back to me within, I think, like 2 or 3 days and just said, dude, I want to do it. And so he put me in touch with management, and basically the deal was you get me a show in Waco, and we'll come do the engagement as well.
Having great connections with Common Grounds, he was able to make the deal happen.
Scotty was standing in the center with Jake behind him, who immediately started playing Tuesdays.
When Ambry walked in, she just froze. I literally said, come on, and she just stood there, and I took a couple steps toward her and said, come here. She just said, how did you do this? I said, this is my new friend, Jake.
It was just the 2 lovebirds and Jake Scott.
You know, I was really engrossed in Scotty, and we were dancing, and then it registers like Jake is here. And so we're dancing, and I get to a space where I see Jake behind Scotty, and I just go.
After the Waco native couple danced to Tuesdays, it was time for Swingler to get down on one knee.
There was a table with flowers, a photo of us, a Bible that had my name and his last name on it, so my future name, Ambry Swingler, which made me cry even more, and then the ring.
Reading scriptures at Common Grounds before their 8 a.m. classes was a crucial part to their faith-based relationship. With their engagement at this special place, their journey with Common Grounds had come full circle. For Lariat TV News, I'm Sarah Gill. Up next, we have the latest on the number 2 ranked Baylor Volleyball team and their march through non-conference play.
We also have a unique look at one of the players on that team, Brea Hunt, and her motivation to work hard on and off the court. Sports with Drake is right after this break.
At Baylor, our lights shine
while we push our limits
and guide the way.
At Baylor, our lights shine
as we're making connections
and making an impression
as leaders
and as part of something bigger.
Baylor's light shines around the world, but it starts in each of us. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Baylor football is off to their best start yet under Coach Matt Rule after knocking off Rice last Saturday to stay undefeated at 3-0. In this week's home matchup, the Bears look to avenge last year's chippy loss against Iowa State in Ames. Saturday's game marks the first time this season the Bears have been underdogs, as the Cyclones are favored by 2.5 points. Coach Matt Rule said in a press conference on Monday, the Bears certainly have their work cut out for them this week, but they're prepared to play their best football. Players to watch include Baylor quarterback Charlie Brewer and Iowa State quarterback Brock Purdy, who have the 3rd and 4th best passer ratings in conference respectively. The game will kick off on the Brazos at 2:30, and you're encouraged to wear gold to the game. It can also be seen on ESPN. Nationally ranked and undefeated volleyball closed out their non-conference schedule with a dominating win at the Farrell Center last Tuesday. LTVN's Nate Smith was there to capture the action.
The number 2 in the nation Bears volleyball team made quick work of the Texas State Bobcats Tuesday night as they swept the Bobcats in 3 sets, which ran the Bears' win streak all the way up to 10 in a row.
Well, it's something special we get to experience together as a team. Again, we want to know one way to play, and we got to maintain that. If you're going to win a national tournament, each day is a practice for that. You can't afford to have an off match at that point, and yeah, we're treating each match kind of like that.
The win was a team effort with multiple Bears stuffing the stat sheet. Shelly Stafford led the way with 11 kills, an ace, and 4 blocks. Kara McGee followed with 9 kills and 4 blocks, and Marieke Vandermark also had herself a game, notching a career high in kills with 9.
Play. We want to play everyone. We want to win against everyone. We want to have the dream is to have an undefeated season this year, and that's what we're trying to do.
The Bears hope to keep the streak alive as they travel to Lawrence to take on the Kansas Jayhawks and kick off Big 12 play this Saturday. For Lariat TV News, I'm Nate Smith.
Baylor's volleyball team is no doubt one of the best in the country. They've drawn record-breaking crowds and made quick work of opponents all season long. Each player hits the court with the same motivation and determination, but LTVN's Brenshavia Jordan introduces us to a key player whose priorities go beyond the game.
Senior Brea Hunt is a key figure for Baylor's volleyball team.
The team is currently ranked number 2 in the country with a record of 10-0.
Hunt and her teammates are known for bringing thousands to the Farrell Center, but it's not the fans she plays for.
We say that we play for an audience of one, and so that doesn't change. We're playing not for the approval of man, but for God's eyes.
Spending time in the Word didn't just start on Baylor's campus.
I was raised by 2 parents who love the Lord. As I've been at Baylor and plugged in at Highland and FCA, God has continually reminded me that it's not about what I can do. It's about what Christ has already done for me on the cross.
Hunt will use this motivation as she goes into the Big 12 match this weekend, knowing her audience member will already have the victory.
Number 18 is experiencing fullness of joy, that because I am rooted in Christ, I have the best time, and it is undisputed.
The men's tennis team has 4 Bears competing across the country this weekend. Nationally ranked Sven Law and Matthias Soto are the Oracle ITA Masters in Malibu, California, while brothers Christopher and Constantine Franson will be in Lafayette, Louisiana at the Cajun Classic. Updates can be found on Twitter by following @BaylorMTennis. On the women's side, their most recent outing saw 3 Lady Bears finish in the top 4 overall. They take the court at home next Friday for the HEB Invitational. The 6th-ranked and upset-minded Baylor equestrian team opens up its season today with a meet against 5th-ranked SMU. The Bears are coming off of a 2018-2019 season in which they won the Big 12 championship. Baylor leads the all-time series against SMU with a record of 7-1, but dropped their most recent matchup with the Mustangs last October. This season, the Bears returned 3 NCEA Riders of the Year, 3 Big 12 Riders of the Year, and 5 All-Big 12 honorees. Live updates of today's meet can be found under the Equestrian tab on smumustangs.com. In men's golf, the Bears rallied late at the Illini Invitational last week to take home their 2nd tournament championship in as many tries, tying their best start in school history. Closing in on the final stretch of the match, Baylor trailed Georgia Tech by 4 strokes, but jolted into first place thanks to senior Cooper Dossie, who is the individual tournament champion. According to Sagarin.com's rankings, Baylor is 6th in the NCAA. On the women's side, the Lady Bears are in Norman, Oklahoma today for their first match in 2 weeks, coming off of a solid finish at the Glass City Invitational in Toledo. Baylor is currently receiving multiple votes to be included in the WGCA Top 25. And that's all I have for sports today.
Thanks for watching Lariat TV News. Catch us on YouTube or BaylorLariat.com or the Waco City channel.
We'll see you next week. Have a great day, Baylor Nation.